Hello everyone. Welcome to Grammar 2 Week 26. This is a little bit different way to do it, but we're going to try it for a little bit and see how it goes. You also have in your packet, you have a part of the packet says instructions, and so pretty much everything that I say here on this video you'll also have there, so you can always look back and remind yourself of what we're doing on that. So we're going to start class with our usual classwork, and that's just classifying the sentences. We're getting towards the end of the year, so we won't be classifying quite as many at the beginning, but this week we will. So what I would like you to do is get out your week 26 classwork, and we can get started on that. Get your pencil ready. Now you will notice in your packet that you also have an answer key. But that doesn't mean that you get to look at it, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to go through it just like we usually do, except that I won't be writing it as you tell me what to write. We're just going to go through it, and then afterwards I'll have you take a look at that answer key and see how your answers compare and see if they're right. And they will be. You all do a great job on this all the time. So let's go to the first one. The first one is: the mechanic worked on the flat tire during the night. So let's start with our answer, our question-answer flow. So the first question is, who worked? Go ahead and mark who worked, and marked it right. Mark it with your subject noun, okay? Then what did mechanic do? Mechanic worked. That would be your verb. What's on? On is a preposition. So then, of course, you always say, after a preposition, you say what? On what? Well, it's on the tire. So tire is your object of the preposition. And then we go to during. During is a what? It's a preposition. So we say during what? And we say during night. That is the object of the preposition. So now let's go back and check on the words that we haven't done yet. At the beginning is the word the. That is an article. Then we have another the on the flat tire. That is an article. And then for flat, we say what kind of tire? Well, flat tire. That is an adjective. It describes, it answers the question, what kind? And then, of course, we have another the, which is an article. All right, so let's go over to our sentence pattern and write it on that line on the top, SN-V, pattern 1 underneath. As soon as we say that, we say check. What are we checking for? We're checking for the prepositional phrases. Are there any prepositional phrases in this sentence? And yes, there are. There are actually 2 of them. So put your parentheses around the 2 prepositional phrases. They would be on the flat tire. That's the first one. During the night is the second one. Then let's see. Okay, what is the type of sentence it is? You see that there's a period there. That's a statement, which means it's a declarative sentence. Do we put a D at the end of that? For declarative, go straight to the verb, which is worked. Go ahead and put a slash mark in front of worked. That divides the complete subject from the complete predicate. And now the only thing we have left is to put a single line under mechanic and a double line under worked. All right? Now what you can do is you can look at the answer key for that first one and see if you marked it right. I've pretty much been telling you how it goes, but go ahead and check on it for a minute, and then we'll go to the second one, okay? Let's go to number 2 then. My cousin's mother works during the day at the hospital. First question, who works at the hospital? Answer, mother. Subject noun. Second question, who works? Second question is, what does mother do? Or what does it say about mother? And we say mother works. So that's the verb. Let's go to during. What's during? Preposition. During what? During day. Object of the preposition. We go to at. What is that? It's a preposition, so we say at what? At. Hospital, object of the preposition. Let's go back to some of the words that we skipped. Okay, so now we're on the word my. First of all, we see that my is a pronoun, right? We also see that it shows possession. So that is a possessive pronoun, PP. Okay, let's go to cousins. Well, that is a noun, but it also shows a possessive. So that is a possessive noun, PN. And then we have our articles to mark the two words that say the day, and the hospital. Go ahead and mark the articles on that. Let's go over. Go ahead and put your sentence pattern. I'll just let you do that. As soon as you do that, you say what? Say check. And what are you checking for? You are checking for the prepositional phrases. Are there any prepositional phrases in this sentence? Why, yes, there are. How about that? There are two. There are during the day, so put your parentheses around that prepositional phrase. Then there is at the hospital, so put your your parentheses around that prepositional phrase too. All right, and we're going to see what kind of sentence this is. It is, we see that it's got a period, it's a statement, so that makes it a declarative sentence. So let's put a D after that sentence. Go straight to the what? Straight to the verb. Put a slash mark right in front of it. So the slash mark is between mother and works. Again, that divides the complete subject from the complete predicate. Now we just do the simple. We're going to do the simple subject and the simple predicate. Simple subject is the noun, mother. Put a line under it. Simple predicate is works, which is the verb. Put 2 lines under it, and you are done with that sentence. Okay? You can go ahead and check it for a second. All right, let's go to number 3. He walks daily to the neighborhood grocery store. First question, who walks? Answer is he. Is that a noun? No, that's a pronoun. So this is not a subject noun, this is a subject pronoun, SP. So then we say, what does he do? He walks. So walks is the verb, okay? He walks when? All right, when? What part of speech answers that question? Part of speech is adverb. It tells when he walks. Then we have to. What is that? Preposition. To what? And then you have to look way to the end of the sentence to find out to what. To the store. Okay, that's why you have to ask that question, because you didn't go to the neighborhood. You didn't go to the grocery, but you went to the store. So that's the object of the preposition, OP. All right, so let's go back again and fill in the words that we didn't do. So we have the word the in front of the neighborhood, and that, of course, is our article. Then we have neighborhood, so we have to ask the question, what kind? And the thing that answers what kind is a adjective, and it describes store, which is a noun. So that's why it's an adjective. Go to grocery store. We go to grocery, and so we have to say again, what kind of store? It's a grocery store, so it's adjective. It also describes the word store. All right. So let's go ahead and write your sentence pattern. Check. Again, we are checking for prepositional phrases, and there is one in here. Just one. It's a very long one. And so it's to the neighborhood grocery store. So put your parentheses around to the neighborhood grocery store. Again, it ends with a period. It is a statement, so it is a declarative sentence. Put a D there. Go straight to the verb, which is walks. Put your slash mark in front of walks. That divides your complete subject, which is very small this time, and your complete predicate, which is quite large, okay? But then we have to do our simple subject, so simple predicate. So we have he for our simple subject, one line under it, and walks for a simple predicate, 2 lines under it, okay? Now you probably could have done that without me telling you in approximately maybe 30 seconds. So maybe you actually did do that. Okay, now we're going to do something a little bit different today. We are going to talk about the library and where to find things in the library. And if you'll know, especially we have a library downstairs in the church, in school, and so you've probably been in that library, even if you haven't been in a bigger one. But I'm sure you've been in a bigger one too. And Fort Worth has a great library system, so I would highly recommend going to the library. But if you go to the library and you look around and you see a gazillion books, it is nice to know how to find a book that you want. So if you want to find a book about rockets, you're probably not going to go to the fiction section. Or if you want to find, a book about George Washington, again, you won't be going to the fiction. All right, but what you're going to do is you're going to think to yourself about. We're really going to talk about three different sections. There's all kinds of sections, but the 3 main sections are the ones we're going to talk about. One of them is the fiction section, and that is the section that has books in it that are not true. They're books that are made up. So if you just want a story about something that just a fun mystery or something like that, you would go to the fiction book. So you walk over to the fiction section and you look around and you say, oh dear, look at all these books. Where on earth would this one book be that I'm looking for? Well, there's a good way to do it. And if you will look on your instructions, you're going to, are in your packet, you're going to see something that looks kind of like this, all right? See the picture down here? This kind of shows you what I'm going to be talking about. Okay, so if you look on the binding of the book, the edge of the book, you will see on the bottom, you'll see numbers and letters. And mostly in fiction, you'll just see letters, but they'll be in 2 different rows. Okay, so if you look at your picture, you will see that the top letters say F-I-C. Sometimes it only says F, but on this picture it says F-I-C. And of course, that would stand for fiction. So that's your first clue. You're in the right spot. If you look at all the books and all of them have either an F on them, on their spine, or an F-I-C, you know that it's fiction. Well, then you'll notice in your picture here that there is another line there. And the way you can find a book easily is especially if you know the last name of the author. And the last name of the author is how everything is organized. So if you have a book that has the author with the, okay, I've written some things down here. So say you're looking for The Little House by Virginia Lee. L-E-E is the last name. So what you would do is you would look over and you'd find the L's. And then you'd go from there. You wouldn't start looking in the A's. You wouldn't start looking under Alcott, because Alcott is at the beginning of the alphabet. Lee is sort of in the middle. So you'd sort of look in the middle and you'd find Lee there. And then, so if you found, but if you were looking for a book by, Louisa May Alcott, then you'd go to the beginning, because Alcott starts at the front. All right? You understand what I'm saying there? So every book, every fiction books, the first line starts with an F or an FIC. Underneath it is usually the first 3 letters of the last name of the author. Okay. So that's your first section. On your another section, that huge section of the library, is called the nonfiction section. And nonfiction, of course, means not fiction. So these are things that are true. And there's all kinds of nonfiction books. One of them would be biography. If you're going to be wanting to look for a biography of a certain person, then you would look in the nonfiction section. And most biographies, really, if you look in the nonfiction section, there's a B on the spine. That's pretty clear, and it stands for biography. And then underneath the B, you'll see the first 3 letters of the last name of the person the biography is about. So if you were looking for a book on George Washington, you would look under B for biography, or you'd first of all go to the nonfiction. You'd go to B for biography, and then since his last name starts with W-A-S, and then you'd probably go to the kind of the end of the biographies, because that's where you would find George Washington. All right, so it's the same concept. Except instead of fiction, it has a B for biography. Now the other non-fiction books are cataloged a little differently. They use a number system, the Dewey Decimal System or the Library of Congress system, but they have numbers on them. And if you will look at your book, at your paper, your lesson paper, you'll see a page that looks kind of like this. And basically, the way it's organized is each number stands for a certain kind of book. So if you'll look here, and you'll have basically, again, on the spines of the books, you will see 2 lines. On the top line, this time you'll see a number, and then on the second line, then you'll see again the 3 last, the 3 first letters of the last name of the author or whatever it's about. Okay, it's usually the author. So if you were trying to if you were trying to find a book about some type of animal, you would look on if you look on this sheet, you can see where you would start. You would start in the probably, let's see, where would you start? You'd start in the 600s maybe. It's about the human body, and it's about pets, and pets are usually animals. So you could look in the 600s. So you'd look and find the books that have 600s, and it's all divided up into 601, 601.23, it's all kinds of numbers, but they all start with the 600. Okay, so everything that you look for in that section will be about the human body or about pets or about animals. Okay, and then underneath on the second line, then you'll find the first 3 letters of the last name of the author. Okay, it's just the same. It's really organized 2 ways. It's first of all organized by number, and then within the number, it's organized by the author's name. Okay, so in our school, since our school is in a church, if you go downstairs from our class and you go into the library, you'll see many books there, just like in a regular library, but not as many. It's a small library, but you'll see that really most of the nonfiction books start got airplanes. Sorry about that. Most of the nonfiction books in our church library start with 200s, okay, because according to our chart here, the 200s are the religious books, okay? So since it's church, there's religious books, and there you go, okay? So that's pretty much it. Well, there's a third section in the library, and that is the section that is called the reference section. And the reference section usually has books and magazines and things in it that you are not allowed to check out of the library. If you want to look at them, you got to stay in the library and look at them. And these are things like dictionaries and encyclopedias and things like that, and certain kinds of magazines and that sort of thing. Things are a little bit different now. Some of you may not even know what an encyclopedia is because you haven't probably ever had to really look at one. And an encyclopedia is something that I had to use when I was a little girl because there was no such thing as internet. And so, used to think, okay, I need to find out about the heart. So I would go to my encyclopedia, to my H, and I would flip through it to find the word heart, and it would have all kinds of information about it. It would have pictures, and sometimes on some subjects it had pages and pages of it, and it would have nice, neat pictures and charts and all that. And that was the encyclopedia. But now you don't have to do that. Now you can just turn on your computer and type in heart, and there you go. There's about 1 million websites that tell about the heart. So you all live in a little bit of different age than we do, but there are still than I did when I was young. But but that stuff is still in the library, so it might be interesting to you to go look at it and see what it's like. And the same with the dictionaries. You can just put a word in your phone or your computer, and voila, up comes the word. So, with all these different apps and everything. So it's a little bit different, but that's the way it goes. And it may be different when you're an adult and when you are than now. When you're a kid, it's kind of hard to picture how things will change in that many years. But anyway, okay, so we are done with the 3 sections of the library. There is another way that you can look for books in the library, and we're not going to go there right now. This is it's called a card catalog. And a card catalog used to be exactly that. It was just cards. It was a great big long drawers and drawers and drawers and drawers of cards. And you'd look up a subject like space, and then you could look on there and it would list all the books in the library that had to do with space. Or if you didn't know the subject you wanted, but you did know the author, if you wanted a certain author, you could look up. If you wanted Beatrix Potter books, you'd look up the author Potter, her last name, and then it would list in the library everything in the library that was by her. And you could also do it. It also has book titles. So if you knew the book title but you didn't know anything else, you'd look it up by book title and it would tell you where it was. So that's a card catalog. Nowadays they still have a card catalog, but it's not really a card catalog because it's all on computer again. So even though it's still called card catalog, it's not really it really doesn't have cards in it. So anyway, okay, so that's some things about the library. So what I'd like you to do is maybe visit a library. I mean, now you can't do it at the moment, but you can probably visit as soon as we're allowed to go out of our house. You can visit a library and find those three sections. Okay. Now we're going to work on our composition book, and it's going to be about reference material. And again, I have it all in your packet, so you can look at it too. I have pictures in there and everything. Now, I really wish that you could actually have access to your composition books, because this is a little bit different than actually putting the things in your book. But we're just going to work with what we have, and go ahead and get yourself a piece of notebook paper and cut it down to your composition book size, and that would be 7 inches wide and about 9.5 inches long. Okay, and we want the on this one, It doesn't really matter if it's a piece of notebook paper because you're not going to be writing on it on the notebook paper, so you can use any kind of paper for this one. But if you look, you have a picture of what the page looks like that you're going to finish, and I'll also give you the picture. This is my copy, and you'll see that it has little flaps over here. All right, so what you can do is go ahead and cut out your pieces. And on this first one, on this page right here, all you're going to do is glue it on there. Okay, there's nothing to really write. This tells you the different reference materials that you might use. One of them is textbook glossaries. We haven't talked about glossaries very much, but you probably have some textbooks, maybe your history book or your science book, that has a glossary in the back of it. And all that is it's just like a dictionary, a regular dictionary, but the words that are in it are words that are specific to that book or that subject. So you will find, geography words in a geography book. You'll find science words in a science book, okay? So that's all a glossary is. Then you've got your thesaurus. A thesaurus is similar to a dictionary too, except it's groups words according to synonyms or antonyms. All right, so if you have you're thinking of a word that you want to write, like the word fun, well, that's just kind of a normal everyday word, and you might want to find another word that means fun but is just a little bit more interesting, like amusement or something like that. Well, you'd go to a thesaurus to find some extra words that mean the same thing. Or, like I said, it also has antonyms or opposites of words. All right, so that's a thesaurus, and of course you know what a dictionary is. We have them in class, and you probably have one in your house, and it's definitely have one on your any kind of computer that you have. A dictionary, just you look up the word. It's all by alphabetical order. You find a word, it tells you how the word is spelled, how it's pronounced. It usually gives you a little sample of a sentence with that word in it. Sometimes it tells you where it came from, whatever Greek or Latin roots it came from and all that. Then, of course, we have our computer. This is one that you're quite familiar with, websites. If you don't know something, you just look it up, like I said. Okay, so you all actually have it pretty easy compared to the way it used to be with computers. But the thing about computers is sometimes you find things you really wish you hadn't found. So you have to be very careful when you're on the computer, because sometimes it just make sure that that you find only what you're looking for, and if there's anything on there that's not a good thing, then you just shut that thing off as fast as you can. Okay, so that's the danger. Now let's look here. I'm at this page, and what I said on the instructions was I really wanted you to look at these and write your own definition. And basically all we're doing is, okay, you open up the glossary and you write a definition of what a glossary is. Open up dictionary, write a definition of what dictionary is, and so on. Okay, so go ahead and write that, but try to write it in your own words. And then if you like, you can look at my copy of it and see what I wrote. And it doesn't matter if it's not exact, okay, because we're all different people and we do different things. We say things in a different way, but it definitely needs to be, ballpark the same. Okay, so just you can check on that. All right, I think we're pretty much done with what we're talking about for our grammar. We'll go quickly to our spelling. And there was only one thing I wanted to say to you about spelling. Okay, let me find my spot here. Your spelling words this week all are multisyllabic words. That just means lots of syllables. Although I guess they don't really have lots. They have 2 or 3 syllables in them. And so that's really the main thing about the words this time. I'm going to read through the words once, and then I'm going to tell you one more thing. I'm going to talk just a minute about what an open and a closed syllable is, and then we'll be done. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and read them. You can read them with me, or you can say them right after me, or however you want to. Okay, here we go. Lazy, volcano, flavor, piano, recent, really, item, pilot, triangle, climate, gigantic, program, obey, puny, prepare, vacant, pulley, menu, energetic, receptive. Okay, those are your words. Now let me talk to you a minute. If you look up here at where it says this week's focus, one of the things that it says that you're going to do is you're going to identify beginning, opening syllables. And all an open syllable is, it's a syllable that ends with a vowel. Okay, so if you look, find on your instructions, I actually have an example here of a word, and it is volcano. Let's see if I can find it. If you see the word volcano, I have divided it into three different syllables. Volcano. All right. So look at it, and you'll see that the first syllable is just the VOL slash. Then our second syllable is K-C-A, and then the third syllable is no, N-O, all right? And that has a perfect example of, of both open and closed syllables. So if you look at the first syllable, which is V-O-L, got it right here. Let's see if you can see it. See down here? It's right there. See, I did it into three different syllables. V-O-L. Now, vol, the O is a short syllable, right? And it's called a closed syllable because there's an L after it, which is a consonant. That's what makes it a short syllable, okay? So we go to the next one, K-C-A. That's an open syllable. Whenever there's a syllable that's an open syllable, it's long. So we know that that's K, that is a long A, K, vol, K, and the same with no. O is a vowel. It's an open syllable, so it says it's last. It says it's a long sound. Volcano. Now, a lot of times in your spelling, it'll have you divide words into syllables, and this is really a good rule to know because it'll help you. Because if the syllable is, if the vowel is short, there's probably a vowel, a consonant after it. If there is a long vowel, there probably is not a consonant after it. So that'll help you divide your words a little bit better. Of course, the best way to do is go to the dictionary and find out how the word is divided. But if you don't have one near you, then that would be a good. Those would be a good way to. That would be a good way to find out how to do it. Okay, so I think we are done for this week, and you don't have a whole lot to do, but go ahead and get working on that packet, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.